No. Ah, got it. Got it. How was that not changed yet? YouTube. YouTube. I think I'm getting, I need a tan again. Jordan Brand is such a monster. Like right there in the middle of the catcher's gear on the chest protector, you got the logo for Jordan. LeBron will never be that. I don't care what you do, what you say. Jordan is the most iconic athlete of all time. Such a great play. That was such a great play. It's like on a clearly 5 second delay. Show's about to begin. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Were you talking to someone? Hey, man. Hey, listen. How do you want me to? Because you guys look like you had a big news day. What do you want me to say off the top? All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank God. Okay. So you guys closed it up then, right? Okay. 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 Congratulations to you, man. That's always great when you cover a story really well, and you feel great about leaving a story like that. Yeah, yeah. No, 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 dude. Very well done, man. Very well done. Very well handled, and it's great to see when you do a story like that. Where was it? What school was it? May I ask? Okay. Yeah, I know. I know. Over near Park. Was it near Park Row or anything like that? Okay, sure. Yeah. Nope. Nope. Oh, yeah. It's always gnarly when there's kids. See, that's right, man. When you want to always resort back to something, resort back to like being King Kong, like me. Oh, that's great, great. Oh man, that's always a nightmare. Right. Dave, I can't run commercials. We got issues. No, 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 no. It's live radio. Gotcha, brother. Understood. Your inner Fred. Thank you. Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. Whatever you have to do, I'm with you. Correct. Just do it, dude. I mean, just be compassionate. It's easy. Isn't that crazy when you ask somebody to do something that's out of their comfort zone? People always kind of like wig. Yeah, but he sometimes, but you're still insecure with it when you're not doing it all the time. Gotcha. Oh. Are you being a dick for a reason? Good evening, America. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Hope all are having a great night. And the Dan Sileo Show is a needed time right now, especially with all the chaos going on in the world. And we appreciate you checking us out, as you do each and every single night, 6 to 9 Pacific time, and wherever you're listening to us on the great USA Radio Network. We thank you so much with our great affiliates being part of our empire here. And also, too, people on our Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show, also on our Twitch page and YouTube, like Steven, who jumps aboard with us. We appreciate that. It's such a great time of the year right now. And again, I know there's been some crazy things going on, locally in Dallas. Man, our hearts and prayers go out to everybody, people watching all the crap that's going on in Washington. Chris O, my guy, has dubbed our show the Radio Happy Hour. We don't stay in the mud puddle. You know what I mean? This is a show where we kind of try to lift you up, make you think about things a little bit, make you talk about your passions a bit, and we try to make people inspired. So we appreciate once again you coming aboard with us. How could you not love what's going on? Baseball playoffs are going on. Last night we watched Yankees and Red Sox from historical Fenway Park. We're watching Dodgers and Cardinals from legendary Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium. You know what's crazy about that beautiful stadium? And I know it's not the Tiffany stadiums that we see now on the West Coast, like Petco and the brilliant one in Seattle, AT&T. I don't know what they call it now in the Bay Area, but that park is so beautiful. Actually, I was part of the groundbreaking ceremonies there in San Francisco when I was on the air there in the Bay Area. That park is so beautiful. But do you know what Chavez Ravine is? Dodger Stadium? It is the very first Major League Baseball park west of the Mississippi. Think of that for a minute. Okay? It's the very first. Chavez Ravine is legendary. And I every time I go there, it's still to this day one of the absolutely great stops that you go to when you want to see a ball game. It's pretty much the same. The mezzanine section out in the outfield and left, you know, when you go and you get your Dodger dog or you go to concessions, nothing's really changed with that environment. They've pretty much kept that thing going the same way when Koufax was pitching back in the 60s to Scherzer on the hill tonight. It's basically the same ballpark. Dimensions haven't been changed at all in any way. You know, when the Dodgers first went out to the West Coast, they played ball. This is going to be crazy when I tell you this, but they actually played at the LA Coliseum. That was their first ballpark, was the LA Coliseum. And then they moved into this beautiful Walter O'Malley built stadium. And it's one of the absolute gems that you have to go see. There's very few historical parks that are left in all of Major League Baseball. And then you got football news going on. College football this weekend. We got a ton of that stuff going on. I'll tell you this about baseball. Let me go back to last night. Red Sox end up knocking the Yankees out of the postseason. I think this is now the third time that they've knocked the Yankees out in consecutive times that they've matched each other in the postseason. You want to hear what an idiot Aaron Boone is, the, I guess, current manager of the Yankees. That may change soon. And I hope the general manager changes too as well. Aaron Boone had this delusional mentality, as all Yankee fans do. You know what he said? Well, it looks like the Red Sox have closed the gap between us and them. And I'm like, dude, the last 20 years, the Red Sox have owned you. Where are you coming off with that? Delusional Yankee fan. Delusional Yankee manager. Close the gap. They've owned you. Just like the newspaper in New York had the headline, the Red Sox are the Yankees' daddy now. Aaron Boone, I pray he managed his last game last night. And hey, and I'll tell you why that may not be here in a second. Because the Yankees have become analytics driven. That's not the Yankees of the boss, George Steinbrenner. That's the analytical, like, sons now that run that baseball team. Do you actually think in your right mind Aaron Judge's contract would still be in negotiations going into the offseason? Or do you think the boss would have already addressed this going into this year? He would have addressed it, given Judge what he wanted, made that guy the Mickey Mantle of today, and there'd be no questions asked. You're having a debate whether or not you want Aaron Judge on your team? What are you, nuts? He was the most important bomber on that team down the stretch. And you're going to sit around and go, well, I don't know if he's the guy. Are you ridiculous or what? You need a face like that. You overpaid for Stanton. Okay, maybe. Stanton still hit 30-some-odd homers this year. Wasn't like he bombed. You know what the problem with the Yankees was this year? They hit home runs and then stood around to try to manufacture other runs. And when they couldn't do it, they got beat. That's why they won in streaks this year. That team is very poor fielding. Starting pitching is not where it needs to be. Bullpen's okay. But the Yankees, they relied on the bomb too much. They weren't moving runners over like Boston does. Or really the Rays. The Rays are going to smash the Red Sox. How does Brian Cashman have a job? I'll make this point to you. The general manager of the New York Yankees, if the boss were alive, he'd have been fired 10 years ago. The only reason that Brian Cashman is still the manager or the general manager of the New York Yankees right now is because George Steinbrenner's dead. It's the only reason. The only reason. Or he'd be fired. Remember? I mean, it did. How many times did he go through managers because they weren't delivering World Series? The Yankees got to get away from the analytics. They've got to get away from that. So if you bring in a new manager, and don't tell me about Buck Showalter or a Bochy or any of these other guys, they don't believe in analytics, because you know what analytics is code for? Analytics is code for the front office tells you who to play and how to play. That's what analytics is. It's a fancy word, and they try to fool you by saying, this is what you should do. This is who should start. This is how you should play this particular team, instead of sitting in there and having a gut feeling like some of the great managers have had that has managed that baseball team. Think Joe Torre was an analytical guy? Absolutely not. He had Zimmer there with him and Stoudemire. 3 baseball minds. Baseball is a sport of reaction in the moment. Okay? It's reaction in the moment. Then again, most sports are like that. How many times do you draw up a game plan? I don't care for what sport it is, or even a business. You put a game plan together. How many times does it get manipulated or changed in the process because something happens? Player gets hurt. Player bombs. Okay? You've got to make a pitching change right away. So whoever becomes the manager of the Yankees, it really won't matter if it's Aaron Boone or it's anybody else. The front office is going to tell you how to manage. That's why you don't see the big personalities any longer managing baseball. Bobby Valentine told me this a long time ago. They've gotten away from the big-time manager or the big-name manager, or more to the point, maybe the old-school manager. They've completely gotten away from that. Completely gotten away from it. Okay? I mean, right? You're not going to bring in a guy like Bochy. You think he's going to listen to some 25-year-old dude telling him off of analytical numbers, hey, Bruce, this is what you should do when you got runners in scoring position? Shut up, kid. This is what I'm going to do. That won me 3 World Series titles. And by the way, 4 NLCS titles, because he did win one when he was the manager of the Padres. Let's not forget that. Bochy put the Padres in the World Series. He was the manager of that team that played the Yankees. Remember when Gwynn hit that home run off the upper deck? They still got beat. I think they got swept in that series. But still, Bochy put him in it. Everyone forgets that. Not just the 3 titles he won in San Francisco. I mean, Bochy's a Hall of Fame manager. You think he's going to listen to some 25-year-old guy or even Showalter? Not listening to some of that stuff. The Yankees are too driven by that. You think Alex Cora sits around crunching numbers, the manager of the Red Sox? I know Alex. He's a hurricane. We go back a long way, he and I. I texted him and I gave him congratulations. Way to go, brother. Got your baseball team now in the ALDS. Congratulations to you. Taking on Tampa Bay Rays. I think the Rays are going to smash them, but we'll see what happens. The great thing about baseball, it's like hockey. You never know what's going to happen because you're only as good as your starting pitching, and that's such a fact. Right? Wainwright's on the hill tonight. 40 years old, man. I can't believe he's still throwing it in the way he does. And you got Scherzer on the hill. Scherzer's been amazing since he's been in Los Angeles. I think he's got 15 wins. This guy is a Hall of Fame pitcher. Hall of Fame pitcher. Great thing about, you know what, too? It's funny. I was talking to my wife prior to coming on the air. She's like, baseball? You're talking baseball? I go, yeah, I have to. She's like, why? I go, because I love the sport. I know maybe some people don't want to sit around and listen, but baseball, man, when you've got teams like Cardinals and Dodgers and Yankees and Red Sox, I'm sorry, it deserves my attention. That deserves my attention. Okay? It does. Fenway and Chavez Ravine. Come on, man. Really? You're just going to blow through that and not mention it? I tuned on a lot of the sports shows today. They're talking football, and I get it. The ratings are over the top, especially in the NFL. But, dude, come on. Dodgers and Cardinals, these are iconic franchises. I said it last night when we were talking Red Sox and Yankees. People were asking me, damn, so who do you think manages the Yankees? Does it matter? Does it truly matter? Look at what got Jay Tingler fired today. Padres manager. They have Manny Machado on the team, and they have Tatis Jr. on the team. You know what got him fired? Just happened to be in the National League West. And they underachieved. Why is that? Because you're listening to the front office. Same general manager has been in that room for the last 7 years, and he has delivered nothing. But they fired the manager. Why? Because the ownership believes still to this day that it's managing. Well, when you put inexperienced people in the dugout like Andy Green and Tingler, what are you expecting on a result? Look at who the last manager, ever since they fired Bud Black, they have not had a guy in the building that you could trust that handles the pitching. Okay? How many times can you keep blaming someone else? We see this everywhere in sports. Philadelphia, Howie Roseman, last 3 years, do you know what his drafts have not produced? One Pro Bowler. Come on, dude. Front offices should never run a baseball team, a football team, or any team. Should never leave the guys in the dugout and on the sidelines for that. Hire a guy for his strengths, managing people. You'll never get anywhere with that. Never. Cowboys are making it happen. They made a huge move by cutting Jalen Smith. I'll tell you why that was important next. Not. But see, Buck's not going to go with that analytics stuff. He's just not. That's what got him blown out in Baltimore. Yeah, that's correct. Exactly. Bochy's going to say the same thing to the Padres because the Padres, I tweeted it out. The Padres, I'd throw everything at him to try to get Bochy out of retirement. But Bochy's going to go to the front office and go, you're not going to tell me how to run the team then. And then they're going to pass on him. Really? No way. Okay. Yeah, see, I think it's going to be the Rays, and I think it's going to be Rays and Dodgers. Oh, no, Rays and Giants. And the Rays have been there a bunch of times over the last 15 years. That's right. That's right. Because you have to – exactly. Because, you know, when people think of the 27 Yankees, they think of King Kong. And so, like, exactly. Is that the RKO one? That's right. Steven just said this. Bochy and also Showalter would want to pick their own coaches and their own bench coaches. Front offices don't like you doing that nowadays. They want to pick that stuff for you, man. I don't know why, too. That is such an – it's like complete – it's like they're telling the manager, I want to control everything, when I hate that. Oh, Mattingly will keep that gig because of Jeter. Oh, you think Mattingly gets the job in New York with the Yankees? Huh. Mattingly in New York. I'm going to write that down. Mattingly in New York. See, but Jeter gives him, but he'll never win anything in Miami. Ever. Yeah, and you know what? I shouldn't say that because if the Rays can do it, the Marlins can do it. If the Brewers can get there, the Marlins can get there. And the Marlins have really been an organization that has really picked great talent. They had Miguel Cabrera, they had Stanton, they had Christian Yelich. You know what I mean? They made a trade for Chicago to get Dontrelle Willis. Maddening leaving LA. He loves it there. Maybe. Yeah. And a catcher. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. And if you're listening to us right now, and what's beautiful about our show, we do kind of behind the scenes a little bit if you're on our social media platforms. We so appreciate it. Steven's talking to us right now, and we've been throwing some managers' names out for the potential manager's job with the Yankees. And we were talking a little bit about the Padre Open now. And the Padre gig is a silent giant. You got Snell on that pitching staff. Okay, you Darvish. You've got Tatis. You've got Manny Machado. I'm telling you, that's a really good ball team. That team's not just going to be in contention next year to win the West with all those great. The National League West is the best division in baseball. It's the best. Okay? And the managers are really good in the division. Bud Black up in Colorado, he's a hell of a manager, man. Hell of a manager. They just kind of are retooling. They got rid of Nolan Arenado. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a tough place to win because pitchers don't want to go there. Free agents don't want to go there. But we were talking in the break here a little bit about Don Mattingly going to New York instead of staying in Miami with the Marlins. Marlins are building something. And there's no question that Derek Jeter, if you're going to give him a grade on being an owner of a ball team here, what would you give him? I think it's a B. I think what they've done, they've tried to do every single thing to build the organization the same way that the Rays are being built. And I would say even the A's. You're not going to spend a lot of money because there's zero fan base in Miami. Zero. So if you're going to count on attendance being pushed in to deliver some goods for you to be able to spend money, that's not going to happen. The Rays don't count on it. You're going to have to count on being great evaluators of talent when you get the Major League Baseball draft. And if you do happen to get a free agent, you got to pray he hits. You got to pray he hits. Would Mattingly go back to New York? Funny, Chris O just said, man, the fans in New York would go crazy. The fans in New York are not what you have to serve here. Winning serves the fans. Is Mattingly a good manager? I agree with Steven. I think he is one. I think Don Mattingly's a good baseball guy. I think he's evolved into being a good manager. So would it fit in New York? Yeah, because you know why? He knows how to handle the media. He knows how to handle the fans. To what Chris O did say, it would deliver in the fact that, okay, the fans would embrace him. And Steven's like, is Aaron Boone out? No. And and here, you know this, if the boss were alive, that guy's ass would be out of town. He wouldn't. The day wouldn't have ended without Aaron Boone and the news that he was fired if George Steinbrenner were alive. It's a different Yankee time, man. This is not overspending like they used to do with George Steinbrenner. Everybody on the team was a billionaire. That doesn't happen anymore. They're more fiscally responsible. They're more about bottom line and making money now. So when people go like this to me, okay, who's going to manage the Yankees? Does it matter? This is not the same Yankee organization, folks. I'm not saying it's CBS Yankees, which means it's pre-George. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it's closer to that than it is to the father. George Steinbrenner, if there were free agents in the open market right now, You think Matt Scherzer would be in Los Angeles, or do you think he would have been in New York? How weren't the Yankees in the conversation to get Matt Scherzer? How did that not happen? First thing I thought of when Scherzer's name became available for a trade, how did the Yankees land Matt Scherzer? Steinbrenner's alive. I'm talking to boss. That guy's a Yankee, man. He's not a Dodger. He's not a Dodger. All right. Jalen Smith was cut by the Cowboys. Was it a good or bad move? Let's hit on it next. You keep it here on the Dan Sileo Show. Has Boone been fired? Oh, by the fans. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Hey, well, Aaron Boone didn't have any experience. And he would and he would have a no shit mentality. He did. You know who he really loved, Steinbrenner? You know what was really cool when I was in Tampa? George lived in Tampa, and he'd come on my show all the time. And man, he loved Strawberry and Gooden. He really loved them. Dude, and get this, took care of all of their stuff with like rehabs and stuff like that, paid them. I mean, George had, you know what's funny? The guy was the biggest dick going. But at the end of the day, man, he really loved his guys, you know? Yeah, of course I did, man. I'm a Yankee. I watched all that. Uh, I don't know. Tito, really? Why are you naming them all? Why are you naming all Yankee guys though? That culture's not the same that they played in. Okay, but right now it's nowhere near what it was. And so, would that organization allow that though? Right, man. That analytic stuff has killed New York. Boy, I'll tell you, man. I mean, the 75-6 Reds and those A's teams too, man, were great. They were just, I mean, Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Having really a lot of great baseball conversations. Joey B's now on my YouTube channel. By the way, you can also come on my social media platforms to join the show as well. At Dan Sileo Show on my Twitter page and also on my Twitch page and YouTube. You know, we were talking about the 98 Yankees. 98 Yankees were just a spectacular baseball team. The 75 and 76 Reds teams were over the top great. Every guy in that lineup was a superstar in Cincinnati. You know, they're starting pitching with Gullett. Then they went into the bullpen with Pat Zachary and them guys, and Billingham. You know, I mean, their pitching staff wasn't quite. That's why the manager, Sparky Anderson, was called Captain Hook, because those guys were constantly on a conveyor belt. And that may have been the only downfall of that 75-76 team. We're talking about who would take over as manager of the Yankees. And then those great A's teams back in the day, okay, you know, with Reggie and Catfish Hunter and Vida Blue and Holtzman and them dudes, man, fingers in the bullpen. I mean, they were just such a great ball team. But truly, the culture's not the same in New York. So like I said, like a guy like Buck Showalter taking it. Somebody threw the name of Ron Washington. Yeah, Ron Washington did a nice job when he was with the Rangers. My only problem is that the guy's got a problem with drugs. And not just smoking marijuana. This guy's got a problem with crack. I mean, you know, I'm not going to throw shade on anybody who struggles with an addiction. I'm not. That's not my deal. So I'm not going to, you know, I'm not one of these guys that come on there and start banging on a guy because he's got a drug problem, because that's an affliction, man. That's something that you struggle with every single day of your life. And who am I to sit there and cast a stone on somebody that I've never walked in their shoes who's gone down that lane? It's not fair. Okay, Still's life's not, I get it, but I'm not that guy. I'm not doing that. I'm not lighting a guy on fire because the guy struggles with drugs or depression or both. It's not what I'm saying here, right? So, and I'm a big believer in giving somebody a second opportunity. I'm a believer, and you know what? This country is second opportunities. Who would be a good guy for that Yankee job? It's just not the same culture, though. You've got to get over all those bookworms that run the Yankees right now. You got to figure out if you want to go back to being the boss's way, which created tremendous drama and great ball teams. How many titles did he end up winning, George Steinbrenner? 5 with Torrey. Then he won those 2 in the 70s. So Steinbrenner won 7. George won 7 World Series titles. And it was 7. It's quite a job, man. Quite a job. All the American League championships that he won, too. Okay? Actually, 3 different ballparks since he bought the team. You know how I know when he bought the team? He bought it on my birthday, January 3rd, 1973. That's a how you doing. By the way, Babe Ruth was traded on January 3rd. It done. So that day was always significant. And get this, I'll make this point to you because, you know, I was just telling Chris O, when I was doing my show like 15 years in Tampa, Steinbrenner would come on my radio show. And I'd get George on. He'd cold call me. Out of nowhere. And by the way, get this, it was the only city, Tampa was the only city that two American League teams were broadcast in the same city. Usually you were able to do this, okay? You usually it's National League, American League, okay? In Tampa, it was the Rays and the Yankees were broadcast. And Steinbrenner would call my show. So, Sileo, so you don't like the way, the managing is going on. I'm like, Mr. Steinbrenner. One time I got him in studio. Boss come walking in, man. I was like, holy, you know what, man? Here's the boss. He's walking in. We just talked about Yankee baseball. And I think he got a really good appreciation for the history that I know of the team and what kind of manager. He goes, who is your favorite manager of the New York Yankees? And I looked him right in the face, man. I said, favorite manager was by far Billy Martin. And he goes, why'd you like Billy Martin? I said, because Billy didn't take any crap from you. He looked me right in the face. He goes, that's why I hired him 80 times. There was something about that guy, man. There's just something about Billy Martin, man. He would tell me to go F myself sometimes. That's crazy, he would say. And then I would fire. He goes, do you know how many times he fired Billy Martin behind the scenes? And he'd call him back in the office an hour later and go, you're still the manager? He said that went on all the time with him. When Reggie and him were going back and forth, Billy Martin, holy cow. He was the referee. Reggie would go into Steinbrenner's office. I can't play for this guy. And Billy Martin would go, I can't stand this guy. And you want to hear something? Here's a personal – I never told you this story. Steinbrenner says, when those two guys became best friends, when do you think? When do you think those two guys finally buried the hatchet? The day Munson died. I looked him in, I go, no way. He goes, the day Munson died, those two guys became friends for life. Reggie was crying in the outfield. If you remember, I remember the night I was crying. There was a day off. They went to Munson's funeral. They came back, and I can't remember who they played. Maybe it was Baltimore. I can't remember who they played. And Reggie was in right field. He had his glasses off. He had his hat off, and he's in right field crying. Munson and Reggie, man, they go back and forth. They had arguments in the dugout. And he said, yeah, man, those two guys. I said, I never heard that, George. He goes, yeah, it's not really well known. Remember a guy named G. Michaels? G. Michaels brought them both up. And it was the day Munson died. They brought them both up after Munson died in that plane crash, Canton. And G. Michaels, who was a fixture in the Yankee front office, that became manager himself, kind of was there. And G. Michaels was also the guy that buried the hatchet between Yogi and George Steinbrenner. Yeah, it was Whitey too and Mickey Mantle. They all kind of because Yogi never forgave George Steinbrenner for firing him as manager of the Yankees. Never forgave him. And then Yogi went on to coach the Mets to the 73 pennant. The Mets went on to lose to the Dodgers. No. They lost to the A's that year. That's right. They lost to the A's in 73. And Yogi had taken that team to the World Series. Yogi wasn't a bad manager, but he had an ass for George, man. And it was Michael, and it was Whitey, and it was Mickey that got them all together. Yankees were awesome under Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner, in my lifetime, is the greatest owner in professional sports. I see a little of that with Jerry Jones. Jerry reminds me probably of any manager of a team that was an owner of a team. I would say the guy that's closest to Steinbrenner is Jerry. Great passion, great love for the team, wants to win, will do anything to win, is a public figure. Do you not see the similarities between Jerry and George Steinbrenner? Now, George will tell you to go to hell. Jerry's pretty much not, well, I don't know. Lately, Jerry's been telling people settle down, guys, settle down. Jerry's not afraid to do it, but George was always out there calling players names, Fat Toad, and yeah, Fat Toad. Or remember, he used to call Dave Winfield Mr. May. Because Reggie Jackson had the distinction of being called Mr. October, and everyone was like, hey, Dave Winfield's a great player. He goes, yeah, Mr. May. Oh, man. Well, you're sorry, Chris. Right. Move on. Let's hear it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but Chris, let me do this though. But what saved Jeter is those 5 championships and running into the third base line and breaking up his face catching the baseball. So you gave Jeter the pass because Jeter's production was 5 world championships. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you gave him the pass, and he was hey, listen, Jeter's a great Yankee. He's a great Yankee. Good. He's just a great Yankee, man. I mean, he was, but so like that era is gone. That's when I watched the Yankees last night. I look at the Yankees and I'm like, man, they just don't look the same. Everyone sits around hitting home runs and no one does anything else. They don't play baseball like they have in the past. I'm surprised that didn't start in the 3rd inning last night, man. After Cole went out. When Boston had the lead, it was over. When Boston grabbed down, then when Boston got the lead even further out, extended in the 6th, it was over. You knew it was over because they were not going to be able to produce runs. Steven just added Mark Cuban would be in that conversation. Cuban's these owners in sports today are fabulous, like Cuban and Jerry. But the boss was the you-know-what. He was the shiznick, man. This guy was everything you wanted for the perfect ball team, for the perfect city. Steinbrenner fit. I can't think. Maybe Al Davis. You want to put like owners that really love their teams and really were out there out front, but still won. George was awesome, man. He was my favorite. He was my, I would say this to you guys. George Steinbrenner is one of my favorite Yankees. He's just one of my favorite Yankees of all time. To me, they just, when Steinbrenner when he went after a free agent, didn't it always just seem that like when he went out and got Gossage from Chicago, or he got Reggie from Baltimore, or he got Don Gullett from the Reds, those guys, Catfish from the A's, those guys just fit in, and immediately New Yorkers accepted them as Yankees. When I see these guys on the team now, I'm like this, I don't know. They just look like renegades. It's just different. So again, they've got hashtags out there on the internet now. Fire Aaron Boone for who? Another analytical dude? that's going to sit there and have the front office tell you what to do and how to manage. Same thing in San Diego. That's what's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. Front office is going to try to run and try to win a World Series from the owner's box, and you can't do it. Ozzie Guillen, you know what's crazy? I got a signed baseball from him, and I love Ozzie Guillen. I'm going to tell you something, man. Yeah, Ozzie Guillen. Boy, man, did he get run out of Miami because of his politics. Now, would people forgive that? Probably, especially New Yorkers would forgive that. No. Time heals all wounds, and I'm with you on that. I'm just looking for the best fit. But once again, I'm going to come back to this. Whoever gets that job has still got to listen to the front office. Yes. You absolutely, man. Let's do that right now, as a matter of fact. Absolutely, man. This is a great place for you to go. The Valley Hooters, located, as Chris O just said, in the Phoenix area. They've got spectacular food specials, $3 Michelob Ultra drafts. Please do me a favor and get there this weekend. Arizona Cardinal football is off the charts. Tell them Big Sil sent you. I've got to get to Jalen Smith being cut by the Cowboys today. It's a great move. You know why? I'll tell you next. Yeah, I'm just listening to my Hooters folks, and Allie's asking me this. I want to send this back with your approval. Now that I'm back to work, wanted to pick your brain about what we discussed with the girls calling into the show on Fridays to discuss Hooters happenings. What do you need to get that going? Do you have a time block in mind? How about we do it in the first hour, at the bottom of the first hour? Yeah. Okay, that would be 6:30. That would be 6:30 Pacific time. Why can't we why can't they just call in? How do I get that though? Oh, I they would call into you. Uh-huh. I'm okay. I'm gonna CC you on this. If you're a good boy, I'll help you. Oh, okay, Chris. Easy. Quiet. And I'm saying Chris O is the ops guy and runs the network. You're thinking, by the way, Allie's hot as hell. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Jalen Smith was cut by the Dallas Cowboys. Pretty significant move. 2018, that guy was a Pro Bowler. And this is a great move for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they owe him a gigantic salary this year. But you know what this does for years coming up? It loosens the constraints on the salary cap of the team. And it's going to afford them more opportunities to retool their defense. The Cowboys have got into a time where, get this, they're overpaying for good players. Jalen Smith, you see the Cowboys even on their Twitter feed tonight. They thanked him for his service. It's not like he was a bad football player. Not at all. Okay? I mean, but you can't pay the kind of money that they were paying him and completely overpay him. Are they overpaying for Zeke? He's next. Now, what makes that position okay, they're paying him $14 million or something like that, $13 million. Now, remember this, though. They're paying, Tony Ballard, they're paying him $850,000 for the entire year. Zeke's making $550,000 a game. So as a collective group, you're looking at $15 million for two players. You can rationalize that out going, we're paying really $7 million per for both guys. You can justify it because Pollard makes so less. Okay, so you're all right with that. As of now, when Pollard wants and gets his contract renewed, then it becomes expendable with Ezekiel Elliott because he's making too much. Or, now look, Zeke just comes off a game against the Carolina Panthers where he went for 153. Maybe he turns it around. You don't know because that was a great effort by him. But again, Jalen Smith's contract, Smith, by the way, from what I'm understanding tonight, the Packers are the favorites to land him. Packers need linebacker help for sure. Okay? Him landing in that place would be huge. Now, I don't believe he's going to clear waivers, but if the Packers pick that money up, very un-Green Bay. I just don't see him being claimed. See how that works? Every team from the first pick in this previous draft gets an opportunity at signing the guy. The only thing that ties that in, though, is that if you do claim the guy, you have to pick up his gigantic contract. And that was the reason that the Dallas Cowboys cut him in the first place, was because of that contract. I can't believe the Cowboys did that. And Stephon Gilmore being dealt, that was a pretty significant move today. In 2019, Stephon Gilmore was the Defensive Player of the Year. And you want to see what the Patriots did? They were in a contract dispute. And you know what you're hearing media people saying? And you know what you're hearing a lot of people around the league saying? Diminishing skills. This guy doesn't have diminishing skills. He's injured. You mean to tell me you think 2 years ago, Stephon Gilmore's not good enough to play in the league, and he was the Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago? Are you crazy? Absolutely crazy. He's going to help Carolina. Now, the Patriots sent him to Carolina for a 6th-round pick. Wow. Talk about, Carolina only has to give up a 6th-round pick for the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year. And he opted out of COVID, I don't think he played last year. And so the only reason that he's out of shape and he's injured right now, he came in because of a contract dispute. They've had this contract dispute since really the end of 2019. This is over money. Nobody said anything about Stephon Gilmore's skills being eroded. I don't know where that came out. It came out because, you know why? The Cowboys planted it. Or, the Patriots planted it. I'd love to have that guy on my ball team. Really, I'd love to have that. It's good. He's a good ball player. But I got to give kudos to Jerry and Steven. That was a tough cut. That was an exceptionally tough cut for them because they really loved what they did. Remember something, when Jalen Smith got to Dallas, he had to miss that first year because, remember, he was hurt at Notre Dame. And then that guy got himself back into shape, and he ended up becoming a Pro Bowler. It was an absolutely hell of a find, but they turned that thing into too much money. Okay? All right. I'm going to show you a little bit of hypocrisy between Ed Ogeron and Jim Harbaugh. We're going to reset, bunch of stuff to hit on. You keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show. I'll be right back. Yeah, that's good, Chris. Chris, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. See, I think that sounds more like a rejoiner. That's what I'm saying. I think, sure. Okay, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. So come back in on the punch. Okay. I so when you start fading down, I'll know. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I got it. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Hope all are having a great night. Should be. Baseball's going on. Wild card games. Football is with amazing storylines, controversies. I brought this up before, and I'll say it again to you. Anytime that you have Yankees, Red Sox, and Dodgers and Cardinals and wild card, it must be addressed. You just can't blow it off because, hey, okay, well, wait a minute here. Football ratings are going through the roof. That's why you see the majority of these shows talking about, you know, all the storylines in football. And I get it. You know, you've got to feed your customers what they want. They want football. I understand this. And baseball, man. I mean, Chavez Ravine last night. It was Fenway. Really a battle going on tonight between the Cardinals and Dodgers. How'd you like to be the Dodgers and win over 105 ball games, and you got to play in a wild card game? That just tells you how incredible the National League West was. Manager who really did a fairly decent job. Jay Tingler ended up getting fired today with the Padres, and you got Manny Machado and you got Fernando Tatis Jr. on it. And guess what? You lost your gig because you couldn't hang with those other two ball teams. Incredible. Okay? And just incredible. Storylines are crazy, man. Kyrie Irving doesn't want to get vaccinated. And I'm actually for Mr. Flathead. I call him Mr. Flathead for a reason because, he went around pimping the fact that, he was part of the world is still flat kind of stuff. And I think he's a dope. However, he's right here. So the NBA, get this. So the NBA is not going to mandate having marijuana tests this year. And I don't think they should. But I also don't think you should mandate vaccinations. They are not going to mandate marijuana tests. Oh, but make sure you get your vaccinations if you want to play. They're actually telling players in the NBA, if you're not vaccinated, you can't play. Really? Since when do you own the players' bodies? You know how sometimes the players come out and say there's a slave mentality when it comes to ownership and players? That is it in a nutshell. You can't tell people that. That's against the law, man. I don't know where this has come through where people think they have the right to do that. My medical history is none of your business. None of your business. So like, what's next here? Check it out on your job when you go for a job interview. Yeah, I'm really qualified. I went to a great school. I've got great credentials. I got great references. Then the employer does this to you. Hey, are you vaccinated? Well, excuse me, sir. My medical history has nothing to do with anything that is required for this job. Well, we have to have everybody vaccinated before you take this job. Excuse me, sir. I'm not going to release my medical history. What's next? If I've taken an AIDS test? And then you know what the employer does? Because he has a right to hire whoever he feels fit to fill the job. Well, since you don't answer the question, you're excluded from this job now. Thank you very little for showing up for the interview. So I'm excluded from getting a job because I have to reveal my medical history to you? I mean, I don't know how you don't think that is completely over the line. Or if you're now being called this, if you're a mother or a parent who doesn't like these mask mandates, okay? If you don't like them, you can't bitch to your school about it. You're called a white supremacist, or you're called you're called a radical. Okay, I mean, you're a radical for asking questions about your child and a mask. I watch these college football games. I'm watching Dodger Stadium. I don't see one person with a mask. Do you know the only people that are wearing masks are the idiotic, woke media people. ESPN is woke. I hate using that word. Maybe I should just use the word dope. I don't see umpires. I don't see anybody at Chavez Ravine tonight wearing a mask except the media people. You find that weird? Because you know why? I'll tell you flat out. The media makes so much money, folks, making you afraid. It's funny. You know what it reminds me of a little bit? And I appreciate everybody coming aboard. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you, everybody that's with us on social media, on our platforms. We'll take a look at week 5 of the NFL at the bottom of the hour. You're on our Twitch or our YouTube channel or our Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show. You know what's crazy is that, when you go to any one of these ball games now and you don't see any mask, I don't see like Dave Roberts. I'm looking at him now, the manager of the Dodgers. There's nobody there. But when you watch these media guys, they all got their little mask on. And it just doesn't match up. Now you're telling me about Christmas time and this. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I don't in any way subscribe to any of the stuff that's going on in mainstream media. It's just crazy how people talk and how people are acting today. Not even the umpire. Nobody's wearing a dumbass mask. Ugh. It's just not matching up. How about this, too? You know what's really crazy about our government right now? We're actually blaming mothers and fathers for being radicals because they're asking questions about their kids. I'm sorry, but my daughter's health and safety is my responsibility, not the federal government's. And where do you think you have the onions to take that from me? is beyond anything that this country was built on. You have no right to tell me how to raise my kid. You have no right to take control of my kid. You have no science to this. Even your vaccinations, people are still catching this thing. So what's the point? Oh, we're safer. Who said that? Oh, that's right. Dr. Fakey. Okay. Does anybody ever listen to that guy anymore? But I'll tell you one thing, man. You know what I wish that I had done prior to this? I was on Wall Street and I worked at Bear Stearns and I had my Series 7. You understand that, right? I actually did. I worked for Bear Stearns. And if I wish to God, I would have told somebody, you know what I would have said to them? Make sure you get into the pharmaceutical business. Because the pharmaceutical business and places like Jeff Bezos' Amazon and Google, they've profited so much off of this pandemic. It's mind-numbing. I mean, right? Jeff Bezos, they love the fact that they make you afraid. It's kind of like Home Depot during a hurricane in the southeastern part of our country. They love the fact because you know why? Home Depot stock goes through the roof when it's hurricane season. You know that? Generators are bought, water, grocery stores, places like Publix on the East Coast and the Southeast. All those stores go through the roof when it comes to their bottom line because it's fear. And what we've done now is we have made fear a commodity and a market. And the news industries are selling that fear. And what they here, watch this. Mask mandates. It's important. Back in 10 seconds. Then they go to commercial break. And they're selling those spots at premium. They want you afraid. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Just don't. Sports right now is so important because it's telling you the government is wrong. Hey, by the way, there was 100,000 fans last week in Alabama, 95,000, watching the Ole Miss game. Nobody had a mask on. I haven't heard any outbreaks of college football fans. 100,000 fans are sitting. Oh, by the way, this weekend at Kinnick Stadium, when Iowa takes on Penn State, there'll be 85,000 fans. Have you heard any outbreaks of college football fans in the southeastern part of the country or in the West or in the Midwest when it comes to mask mandates? Have you? Are you not watching? Look at tonight, like I said, Chavez Ravine. How does that match up to what they're telling you? It doesn't. It just doesn't. I don't know where and why. What's you know what you always ask? What's the end result for this? What are you trying to do? You got to remember something. The President of the United States got into the White House because of COVID. It's the only reason. Because they thought Trump did a horrible job at it. Well, what's he doing? Scaring people to death. And people get this, though. They're not buying it anymore. Democrats and Republicans. And now you're trying to tell parents, Republicans and Democrats, how to handle your kids. You can't ask a question, why my 12-year-old kid has to wear a mask and you're called a radical. Sorry, dude. Then I'm a radical. Because I would ask that question. Then get this. And now you got Merrick Garland coming out saying that you can't ask questions any longer. Or they're going to call you a white supremacist. Isn't that crazy? I saw that today a little bit and I was like, man. So you call a concerned parent who wants to just be a little bit more educated. And by the way, I'm not proponent. I'm not selling you shouldn't be. I'm not doing that. No way am I doing that. I don't want you to think I am. But if I'm a concerned parent about a particular issue, I have every right to go, why are you teaching this to my kid? Or why are you asking them to do this to my kid? And if you think that I'm a radical, then you call me, hey, I am a radical then for my kid. Whatever you want to label me, I'm a parent. Most parents are radicals about their kid. Isn't that common sense? Aren't you radical about your son or your daughter? I am. I know my wife is. You, there isn't anything that my wife doesn't know about my child. And there isn't anything that she wouldn't do for him. So my wife's a radical too, then. Every parent is. My aunt has been a radical in my life for 60 years almost. Okay? It's a fact. I think that's just being called a concerned parent. Hey, man, Ed Ogeron, I want to hit on him, man. He's under a lot of heat at LSU. We'll take a look at week 5 of the NFL. That'll be at the bottom of the hour. Keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show. I hear you, dog. Just because I don't respond to you right away, sweetheart, don't worry about it, honey. Yeah, it's the bottom of the hour sweeper, but no. Right on, man. Right on, right on. Yeah. Yeah, they did. Got in the 5th. Wayne. Yeah, but you got to remember, man, the Dodgers are better this year and they were last year because their bullpen is better than their starters. It's kind of like the Rays. So that's why they yanked him. I mean, their bullpen is really good, the Dodgers. The Dodgers this year, man, the reason that they didn't take down the Giants and they lost it by 1 game, I think, is because they were injured all year. And they still won 106 games. I don't in my lifetime, Chris. In my lifetime, I don't ever remember the Cardinals sucking. I wonder who her favorite. I wonder who her favorite Cardinal is. Oh, she's old school. She's my age. Wow. Oh, so I said, oh yeah, okay. So it's gone from Fred to her now. Oh yeah. Hey, you know what? Yes. Hey, Fred's doing a third nap, so now it's Janet's turn. Oh, what's his job? Please tell me. Oh, was he? Was he? Wow. Nothing. Nothing, man. Usually, people of those religious persuasions don't like that kind of exit, but it's all good, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, my God Almighty, and completely in all ways that you can say. That's not how it works, Wayne. Here, let me help you out here, buddy. Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, no, he's prime candidate for it. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. By the way, bottom of the hour, we'll take a look at Week 5 of the NFL. God, it's really great stuff. And by the way, man, this is a back and forth game tonight going on between Dodgers and the Cardinals. God, man, just two iconic names. You're at Chavez Ravine, the first Major League Baseball park west of the Mississippi. I mean, I love all the history of that sport. You know, the only problem with baseball, they don't have a clock. And that is why I think you have an older fan base. You've got to be patient with that sport. You do, because there's so many more nuances. I think it's the toughest sport to master. I've said this to you. If you are successful at the plate 25% of the time, you're making $10 million a year. That just shows you how hard that sport is. The greatest hitter in the history of Major League Baseball was only successful 36% of the time, Ty Cobb. 36% of the time, and he's a legend. It's the highest batting average of all time, 367. Right? 367, 37% of the time. This guy here was like 63% of the time he had failure at the plate. It's incredible. Baseball's a hard sport, man. It's running and throwing and hitting. Crazy. All right, I got to show you this here, and I want to explain this to you here, how politics play into college sports and professional sports. So today I was talking earlier on my stream show here about Ed Orgeron getting a lot of heat, the LSU head football coach, and Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh, who has had no success whatsoever at Michigan. He's 49-22 in 6 years. And he's going into his 7th year this year. And now they're saying that Ed Orgeron should be fired at LSU, even though Ed Orgeron is 48-16. He's 4-1 in bowl games. He's won an SEC championship, and he's won a national championship. Jim Harbaugh, on the other hand, has not beat Ohio State. He's 1-3 in bowl games, and he's like the 5th best team in the Big Ten. But yet, people at Fox support him like Joel Klatt, and they dump on Ed Orgeron. You know why? Because they don't air the SEC games on Fox. And I was talking to a friend of mine, one of the media people, on my stream show this morning, and we were saying this all comes to TV. So in theory, the politics of even covering sports is different today. Isn't that crazy? You're not getting real objective people talking about what's truly winning and losing. I don't know about you, but 48-16, and if you're comparing Ed Orgeron to Nick Saban, you should fire every coach in the SEC then, because nobody's beating him. Nobody in that conference has a better record than Ed. But you're comparing him to Nick? Well, you should fire everyone then. You should fire every coach. Saban, his secret is this. His secret is the fact that he hires the best people that he possibly can to coach his guys. He finds the guys, then he finds the guys to coach them. Nick Saban could run a Fortune 500 company because he's like Warren Buffett. He finds people that move the widget. He's tremendous. Just tremendous at it. All right. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Go on our website. If you're looking to build yourself a home studio like Big Sills has, Podcasterwarehouse.com is your place. 25% off everything that's on the website there, right? And you use the promo code Sileo, S as in Sam, ILEO. Shipping is free. You can spend as much as $5 to $5,000. Podcasterwarehouse.com. That's podcasterwarehouse.com. We'll take a look at week 5 of the National Football League. Starts off on Thursday with a big one. We'll do it next. Always does. And I like Dave, and I know Dave very well. He was Bud Black on Bud Black's coaching staff in San Diego, and I got a chance to know him very well. I love that Cardinal uniform. Oh, before the I played in that against, get this, Chris. I played in that Busch Stadium when the St. Louis Cardinals played there for their final year. My rookie year was their final year in 87. Yeah. Yep. I played at Busch Stadium where the Cardinals played. It was pretty we went they had a Hall of Fame in there for all the Cardinals. I saw all that stuff, man. It was great. That's right. They were they were Phoenix Cardinals before Arizona. Right on. And actually, they moved to Tempe first because they went and played in Sun Devil Stadium before they moved up to Glendale. I've been there. It's really wonderful. No. Kong Dome has, like, you should see the super suites. Whew. Wow. Coconuts all over the joint. I mean, he actually did, and I gave him more input on the scoreboard, and I said, have the biggest scoreboard that you possibly can. Have a Kong vision. And so he understood Kong vision. You know, that scoreboard, though, if you're on the other side and you're up in the upper deck, you can't really see very well. But I told him, make sure you name it after AT and Kong. It's gonna be, it'll be well worth your time. We have all of our phone systems through AT and Kong. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, everything is, and I regulate everything too. No. I have a complaint box out front of the Kong Palace. And I promise you, not very many letters are dropped in there. Yeah, that's right. And if you're not happy, be on a spit. No. We come grab you in the middle of the night. No one knows where you are next day. It's all good. I like it that way. Oh yeah, completely. Oh God, I love those guys. I'm not. Believe me. Oh my God, you know about them, huh? The Germans. Oh wow. East Germans. No. I'll tell you a story one day. I'll tell you a story about one day about my uncle. No. No. This is not an air story. Easy. I know. I got thrown off the air once for saying that. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Thanks for coming aboard here tonight. I love the politics that we're now seeing so much infiltrate our sports world. I don't know if I love it, but I mean, I love that there's another angle. There's more content now. See, I'm a content king. Whatever moves the needle. Thank you. Well, there's a new term on that one nowadays, isn't there? What moves the needle? Our government. Thank you. Right? Jesus criminy. Hey, can I use this bathroom? Are you vaccinated? No, you can't. Sorry, you can't come into the. Can I go to Taco Bell? No, you can't go to Taco Bell. I'd be like, okay, dude. Whatever, man. I'll just sit at home then and make my own food. You're not going to stop me from enjoying my life. It's not going to happen. And you know what, too? You know who benefits the most from people acting the way they're acting in public right now? These sports networks, these sports leagues, people sitting at home watching the Red Zone or watching television. So like the unvaccinated people, I'll just stay at home, drink my beers at home, not go to a ballpark, and I'll watch the Red Zone. NFL loves that. TV ratings through the roof. Well, you can't go to a game in Las Vegas to watch a Raider game. All right, I'll stay at home. You know how hard it is to motivate people to go to a football game anyway? I've said this to you before. I'll say it again. Do you know that 97% of all NFL fans have never been to a game? So what's the big deal if you're not going to a game? Who cares? Hey, you know what, too? I'll go in and tailgate. Then I'll leave and go home. I don't have a problem doing that either. Right? I totally don't have a problem with that. Guys meet up at a bar, go watch. I go to a bar with my friends if I can. If the bar lets me in, I'm good. I don't care. Then again, I'm not like Urban Meyer hanging out at bars. Or I got a new name for Urban Meyer. You know what his name is? Urban Cowboy. I done. Hey, Urban Cowboy. Yeah, man. I'll tell you what. I'm good at the bars, man, with all the co-eds. Urban Cowboy. Dude has to apologize to his team for acting like a 14-year-old. Oh, wait a minute. 14-year-olds don't act like that because they can't go to bars. All right, a 21-year-old. And you're paying that guy $10 million. I guess okay. I guess. I don't know. Would you have a problem with that? I surely would. Paying that guy $10 million? How committed are you, dog? You're 0-4. Your team looks like crap right now. And you're out getting your jiggy on in a co-ed bar in Columbus, Ohio. What the hell's wrong with you? You know what, though? I will say this. I'm not going to put the morality cops on you here because, look, I don't want anybody judging me in anything. Okay? But I'm just saying, man, the look, you're the CEO of a company. Thank God that ain't me. I don't know. It's just, I don't know how you could tell somebody to act one way and then, don't act as I do. You know what I mean? Act as I say. I hate that guy. Well, you have to have character. Well, you don't. Well, that's not what I'm telling you. I'm the coach. You automatically lose credibility in that way. All right, let's get into week 5 here. I want to tell you something. Coming out of week 4, do you know the ratings for the NFL have been up 20%? 20% from a year ago. It's the highest increase that the National Football League has seen in 16 years. Why do you think that is? It's the ultimate reality show. People can't get enough of it. College football is up 36% from a year ago. That's so great. I am so, and you know what else I think is happening? I think fans that are watching the games at home, I think they're enjoying seeing the fans in the stands. Tell me when you watch a sporting event like tonight's wild card, Dodgers and Cardinals. Are you not enjoying watching the game and seeing the fans having a great time? Last night, I know with historic Fenway Park, even though I'm a Yankee fan, I thought it was cool and it was a great setting. You know, Boston the last couple of days have had really great sports content with Brady going back. It's been great, man. Let's take a look at this, though. Look at Thursday night, Rams and Seahawks. That division in football in the NFC West is so good. Like the last place team may end up still winning the division. I would tell you this, maybe all four teams end up going to the playoffs. Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams. They may all go. They're all very good football teams. Best division I've seen in a long time. Tough division. They got the MVP. Maybe even the AFC West, too. You know, you got Raiders and Chiefs and Chargers, even the Broncos. Football out west is great. Football out east, not so good. I like the Rams taking on Seattle. Russell Wilson versus Matthew Stafford. Hey, I've talked more about Matthew Stafford in the last couple of weeks than I've talked about Matthew Stafford in the last decade. I can't believe it, man. This guy here is just absolutely just in the conversation for the MVP, and there's Russell Wilson again. You know, I actually happen to think that Russell Wilson, this may be his last year in Seattle. Why would you stay there, right? I like that game. And we'll hit more on who wins some of these games later in the week, but that's a big game, NFC West style. Hey, for the first time in a long time, Jets and Giants won over the weekend. And the Jets take on Atlanta. What a sorry-ass game. Holy cow, is that a poor game. And that's your London game. Oof, man. So you're putting the Jets and the Falcons in London for this coming weekend. Congratulations to you. That's one game I will not be watching. Green Bay and Cincinnati. That's going to be a tasty game at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincy. Both teams are 3-1 going into this game. I love Joe Burrow. I do. Aaron Rodgers looks like he straightened it out a little bit. Packers are back to winning ball games. That's a really tasty game. Detroit and Minnesota. You know, I think Detroit's playing pretty decent under Dan Campbell. Minnesota, man, I think Mike Zimmer's going to get blown out in that game. I think he may end up losing that ball game, and you lose a game at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Man, I don't think you could start out the way he started out and think you're going to keep your job. And I like Mike Zimmer. Denver and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's on vapors right now. They have to win this game to save their season. And Denver, I don't believe Teddy Bridgewater's going to play in this ball game, but this is at Heinz Field. I bet you Denver goes in there with their backup quarterback and wins this game. Pittsburgh has a quarterback who's just out of gas. Roethlisberger, you know the Steelers did? You know their biggest mistake was? They held on to Ben too long. And get this, they have no transition plan. Miami and Tampa. Miami, you know, for getting out of the gate good with Tua Tagovailoa, who's been injured now over the last couple of weeks. Tampa Bay coming off that enormous win in Foxborough 1917. Tampa's at home at Raymond James. Buccaneers can run their game and their season to 4-1 on the year. Bucs are good, man. Brady's great. That's an intriguing ball game. More so for the Bucs on a short work week. New Orleans and Washington. You know Washington can kind of hang in there with the Cowboys a little bit if they win this ball game at home. They'll be in Landover for this game. And I can't tell who Jameis Winston is yet. I don't know. Is Jameis Winston turning his career around under Sean Payton? One week he looks great. Another week he doesn't look great. Tyler Hankey, man, how about a big play that he made? I guess that was against the Falcons this past weekend. That was a big win for Washington. I love Ron Rivera, too, the coach of that team. Philadelphia and Carolina, this will be at Bank of America in Charlotte. Philly played good on offense against Kansas City last weekend. Their defense, there's holes everywhere on that defense. And I actually like what Sam Darnold is doing. Now they end up getting Stephon Gilmore, too. I don't think he'll be active for the game, but they may get Christian McCaffrey back. He took some snaps today. I like Carolina. I mean, they got beat by the Cowboys. They're 3-1 on the season. I think they go to 4-1 on the season. Then there's Jacksonville, man. Holy cow, the game's in Jacksonville, too. Thank God for Urban Meyer, man. Can you imagine him on the road? If he was playing Tennessee on the road, what people would be doing in the stands to the guy? Good night, almighty, man. Jacksonville is chaos right now. I really think Urban Meyer is a short-timer in the NFL. He's just not set up for it. You know, he was asked today if he had thought, at all of resigning. He's like, no, I didn't. I heard Amy Trask today of CBS Sports say she would have fired him. Shay Khan, no, they're going to keep him going there. Man, what a train wreck that seemingly is right now. New England and Houston. What do you say about Houston? And by the way, okay, so why isn't Deshaun Watson playing now? Has he been arrested? I brought this up on my stream show. Why hasn't Deshaun Watson been arrested? Why isn't he playing then? Okay, why isn't he suspended then? What the hell's going on? It's like he's in limbo. And if he doesn't want to play, why aren't you fining him? That whole story makes no sense in Houston with Deshaun Watson and the Texans. Chicago goes into Vegas. And I'm starting to like the Raiders. I thought the Raiders played a really great game against the Chargers. They're good. Derek Carr's in the conversation for MVP. Chicago, Justin Fields gets the start. Okay, great. I think Chicago's okay. I don't think they're anything, but I think the Raiders are good, man. They're making some noise. Cleveland at the Chargers. That's a tasty one there. That's a big-time thumbs-up game. I think Baker Mayfield, he gets mad at me because I think he's holding the team back. I'm not holding the team back. We're 3-1. Yeah, in spite of you. And that kid they got quarterback in Los Angeles for the Chargers, Justin Herbert, that guy is a good football player, man. He can play. I really dig that guy. Then you got New York and Dallas. Jason Garrett. You got to love this one here. Hey, Dak Prescott's playing MVP football. He is. He's playing MVP ball, man. Giants, Daniel Jones didn't play that bad last week, right? Threw for 400 yards in the game. Kind of good to see how Dallas, if they can keep it going, especially running the ball. San Francisco and Arizona. How about the Cardinals are undefeated? And Kyler Murray's playing MVP ball. Kyler Murray is one of the guys that I said, okay, that I thought that there's no way he was going to have the type of success that he's having right now. And he's leading the charge. According to the people in Vegas, he's your front runner after 4 games for your most valuable player award. Then you got Buffalo and Kansas City. How good is that? That is a tasty one. Okay? That is a tasty one, man. That's really good. I mean, Buffalo, they've shut out 2 teams in the last 3 weeks. Kansas City beat the doorknobs off the Eagles, and that is a good one. I think Buffalo's going to go into Arrowhead and win that game. Man, Josh Allen is really good. Then the Monday night game, you go to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Ravens are in the conversation, too, to be a Super Bowl contending team. I actually like what Carson Wentz did last week against the Dolphins. I think he played pretty well against the Dolphins last week. I do, man. I think he played pretty well against them. Intriguing ball games. And like I said, the ratings for the National Football League right now are just absolutely through the roof. And people, I think they're really enjoying what they're seeing with all the fans in the stands. I do, man. I think they're really enjoying it. And, Saturdays too. I mean, it's been really, really wonderful. I was talking to my friend, from the last word in college football, and I was talking to him, on my stream show. We're like, man, of all the sports that really rely on fan bases to really move the needle, college football is clearly that sport when it comes to moving the needle. I mean it. I think it's been just absolutely fantastic watching that. So again, the game though that I'm going to be eyeballing is going to be Kansas City and Buffalo. Those two football teams could actually be teams that end up making it all the way to the AFC Championship game too. Watching this game tonight, man, Cardinals and Dodgers, I love it. Chris, who do you have again going to the World Series? White Sox and Giants. Whew. Wow. Old school. That's an old school matchup. I like that, man. Josh Gordon back on the scene. I want to hit on him. We'll do it next. You keep it here on the Sileo Show. Let me tell you, man, that is one of the most it's at Yankee Stadium. And let me say this to you, man. It's the home that Kong built. And Babe Kong was, I don't think you know anything about Babe Kong, but, he used to barnstorm back in the day. And, he was like, one year he had 79 home runs. Yes. One of my favorites of all time, by the way. Oh my God, that is such a great documentary. Every time that it's on PBS, I watch that thing, man. It's clearly the history of baseball. It's the greatest of all time. Every time, dude, every time that airs, I watch it. Because the footage is so remarkable. They go all the way back to like Cobb and before Cobb, Walter Johnson and Matthews, Christy Mathewson. All them guys, man. Oh, all of that. I know, man. It's like one of the only documentaries I've ever seen that just like goes all the way. Hey, is it the guy who is the guy from the Washington Post that's the narrator of it? The guy with the glasses? Who's the narrator? Okay. Buck O'Neill. I met that guy from the Negro Leagues. The Rays had him at a ceremony in Tampa one year. And man, what an absolute angel. Kansas City. I got a Kansas City Monarchs helmet or hat that I got when I was in Kansas City. So I'll tell you a Casey Stengel story that, oh, damn it. Oh, absolutely. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Baseball is such a great historical game. The history of that sport is the most documented sport in American history. Like, watch this. Who's the all-time leading rusher in NFL history? It's Emmett. Who's the all-time home run hitter? Barry Bonds, 762 home runs. Who's second? Well, if you count the new home run total, you want to hear something too? They've added a few home runs to Henry Aaron's total. He's at 761 now instead of 755 because they added some hits and home runs because of the Negro Leagues. He played on the Indianapolis Clowns, and he got credit for them. And I think Mays' total went up too in hits, and they're still trying to figure out his home run total, 660. But I think it's up to 662 or something now. They're still putting, because Rob Manfred came out a couple months ago, and they're going to start putting totals of the players that were in the Negro Leagues, like Jackie Robinson. Jackie played on the Montreal team, and he also played in the Negro Leagues. And they're going to put some of the totals that when Jackie played, I think it was only a year, though. I know that Henry Aaron, I know his numbers. I was just telling Chris here in the timeout that Casey Stengel told a story because I think the Milwaukee Braves played the Yankees. This was in the late 50s in the World Series. And it's funny, I went to that ballpark. I actually played a football game at old Brewer Stadium, and the Packers used to play there one game a year. And it was County Stadium in Milwaukee. I played there, a football game. Think of this, because they wanted to have a fan base that south of the state of Wisconsin, they would play there one game a year. They did this for a long time. They would leave Lambeau. They don't do this anymore, obviously. But they would play one game. And when you walk into that old county stadium, there was a baseball bat and a ball that Henry Aaron's first home run was hitting that ballpark. And Stengel told the story. The wind was blowing in. It was one of the most difficult ballparks to hit a home run. And Stengel said this. He goes, they're going to pitch to Henry Aaron. He goes like this. He goes, the wind's blowing in like this. There's only one guy that I know that could hit a baseball. That would be Ruth. Sure enough, Henry Aaron hit a home run. Guys looked over at him, and he's like, can you believe that? Well, he would go on, obviously, and pass Ruth's record. I've said this before to people. You want to know who the greatest right-hand hitter is in the history of Major League Baseball? It's Hank Aaron. And it's not close. It's not close. 650 doubles, 755 home runs, 3,600 hits. It's not 300 batting average, 21-time All-Star. Dude, come on. He beat every number he had. There wasn't one number that Willie Mays had. He did more things with flash. He did more things. He was a better outfielder probably. But outside of that, he hit more home runs, had more runs, had more RBIs, had more hits, had more doubles. What else do you need? Okay, when people say that Mays is better than him, there's not one offensive statistic he owns over Aaron. Reggie Jackson said it perfectly, okay? Reggie went like this. He goes, hey, if you don't want to know who the best player is, just look it up. And so, like, when you're saying, because Mays was so flamboyant and he played, get this, he played in New York and San Francisco. Hank Aaron played in Milwaukee and Atlanta. Now, to your point, Mays played in the two toughest ballparks in all of baseball, the Polo Grounds and Candlestick Park, because of the wind blowing in all the time off the bay. That is something to take into consideration. Okay? That debate there could be argued, Chris, because he played in the tougher ballparks. I love baseball. I love baseball, as you can see. I do. I love baseball, man. Yeah, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. You can make the comment that Mays played, in those brutal ballparks. It was 515 feet. to center field at the Polo Grounds. Okay, I mean, right? All right, hey, man, so much more football. A great wild card game going on tonight. We'll reset. You keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show.